What's going on, everybody? We're back. Here we go. Episode 6 of Over the Boards. It's been a couple weeks. Partially, well, mostly blame it on me for being sick and not being able to do any shows, not even my own, right? So appreciate the patience from everybody as well as the boys here on the show helping me out. Start with RTC. RTC, buddy. How are you doing? What's new? What's been going on the last 2 weeks in your world?
Uh, Nothing crazy, just working a lot, dealing with that. We have had some pretty nice weather up in Buffalo, so that's great. We were one of the very few cities in all of America to have a total eclipse. Unfortunately, Buffalo sucks so much, we fucked that up by having a completely cloudy sky. So that was nice. We didn't get to see shit. It did go completely dark, which was wild for a 3 p.m. type day. Outside of that, just honestly enjoying what they call grass. I haven't touched too much of it lately, but the few times that I have touched it, it's been nice. So, outside of that, life's good. Life is good. Happy you're feeling better. Happy to be back. You know,
I love it. I love it.
Tuesday. Tuesday.
Total eclipse happened. You're right. That did just happen. I was at home. I didn't look at anything. I went outside for a bit because it got like really weirdly dark. It never got pitch black here, but like really awkwardly dark. It was really cool. But yeah, no glasses. I wasn't out looking at it. I don't know. It's what it is. It was cloudy here, but then it cleared up like right around the time that it was supposed to be like fully full eclipse. So I love that you blame Buffalo for the clouds. I appreciate the shit out of that too. Did you go somewhere to go watch it? Like, did you make a plan? Did you go with the family? What did you do?
I mean, so the city took it very seriously. All of like our government buildings were shut down. Our supermarkets, our grocery stores, whatever you guys call them, were closed down for a couple hours during the event. Everything closed down. I had a lot of employees at my place of work, take off to enjoy it with their family. So I actually left work early. And, unfortunately, I missed the totality of it. But getting out of work early isn't bad. And when I showed up, the food was ready. We were having a nice barbecue, had a couple beers, and got to enjoy some early family time
Good.
on a fairly nice day.
RTC, are
So
you
at least
gaming while
weather.
you're doing this right now?
Absolutely not. That would be unprofessional.
I mean, I just saw Polish's comment. I was kind of like curious about it. Then I just saw the Xbox controller when you said absolutely not and brought your hands up. Are you gaming while you're doing this right now?
The grind never stops.
All right, all right, okay. And so a couple
Something,
comments.
something, something touching grass.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Big grass toucher. All right, continue, move on. Scarata, did the eclipse hit your area? Was it a big deal where you were?
it was a huge.
Oh.
So
Oh.
the path of totality was about 80 miles, 80 to 100 miles south of the metro area. So we had like 99.1% coverage, which for me it was like perfectly fine. I literally came home for lunch while I was at work, put on my glasses, and me and my girlfriend watched the thing happen with our neighbors, and then we just went about our day. Uh, but there was like southeastern Missouri, down near like Cape Girardeau and all that. There was an 80-mile traffic backup of people trying to get down there, and then everybody trying to get back. There was a guy that I work with who he left at 7 a.m. to try to get there around like 11. Didn't get there until 1, and we had it dead on 2 o'clock. That was our little window. And got down there around 1. He was down there at 2 o'clock, and then he didn't get home until 11.
Wow.
And, like Waze has got him taking all the back roads through the boonies of southern Missouri where there's just absolute nothingness because the highway's completely jam-packed.
Yeah, that's not the life for me, man. I can't do it. I can't
I
fucking do it. It doesn't matter how big the hype is. I am not that guy to follow that crowd and be like
Yeah.
stuck in the gong show of trying to get somewhere that everybody else wants to be.
Because the last one we had in 2017, like the entire St. Louis area was in the path of totality. So like nobody had to go anywhere. You just look up.
Yeah,
It was great. But like obviously this time that wasn't the case. But yeah, no, it was cool. Excited for the next one in 2047.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they nailed the timing on this one actually too. I
Yeah.
remember seeing like the news clipping of like when the last one was, or like it wasn't even the 2017. I don't think it was one before that, about 2024.
Yeah, there was one in the 70s.
Yeah.
I think I know the news clip you're talking about. There was one in the 70s, and they were talking about there's not going to be another one until 2024. The one in 2017 was a little bit different just because it wasn't like a total eclipse. It was only like a partial eclipse. But like this one, the moon was so close to the Earth that like it completely blocked out the sun.
Yeah.
So
So like I guess the week before, even though I was sick, I had to go to some work function conference thing.
mhm.
It was in Niagara Falls, which is close to RTC, which is part of the total, the total eclipse was coming through, totality or whatever the hell it was. Buddy, everywhere in that place was selling these glasses. Everywhere. Like restaurants were selling these glasses to watch the eclipse. And I'm thinking like, okay, last time I remember like it was almost like these special glasses or whatever that were showing just the reflection almost. That's all it really was. Like you couldn't actually look at the sun. It was like almost like it beamed the reflection and it showed like it was the cheap ones. But I'm like these restaurants and stuff, and Niagara Falls is really like a gimmicky place, right? Like there's a lot of like random shops and stuff like that. And I just don't know if I'm gonna buy a pair of those glasses and feel comfortable enough to look up at the sun with the restaurant bought glasses from the, like the shawarma place or whatever, like the random pizza shop selling you glasses to go stare at something that you're not supposed to stare at. I just don't know if that was going to be something I was going to do.
Yeah, we had a news article the day of that came out, and it was like some of the local grocery stores around here that were selling them got duped into buying fake ones and then reselling them. And everybody's like, they got to have this label on them, or else, they're no good. And like, some of them did have the label, but were still bad. But like, you could tell which were good and which were not by, can you put them on and see anything at all? If the answer was no, then they're good.
Got you.
Because
they were that strong, eh?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know, dude. I just looked at the fucking thing. And I was like, hey, if I go blind, technically I'm on work hours. I'll just file for disability.
Okay. All right.
Different strategy.
I respect
brain move.
the motto on that.
Big brain move.
Outside of the eclipse, Scarata, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks? But I know that you were a little bit sick there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sound like you're doing better now.
Yeah. Over the hump on that one. Let's see. Yeah, it's been a fairly chill few weeks. Not a whole lot going on. Baseball season starting. Went to opening day here in St. Louis, which is always a fun, joyous occasion. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on. It's been relaxing, to say the least.
Good. Love to hear that. All right, let's kick it off as we normally do. We talked a little bit about the IRL, the real life NHL, and we're getting close to the end here, boys. We are in the final week, not till the end of this week, but as of yesterday, there was only 1 week left of the NHL regular season, and there's still a few teams that are fighting for spots here. In the Eastern Conference, you've got all your teams locked in except for 1-2 spots right now. and that's the third spot in the Metro and the second wild card spot. So currently locked in, we've got the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, where we could see some movement, Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, Carolina Hurricanes, and Tampa Bay Lightning holding that first wild card spot. And then you got the Islanders that are sitting in that third spot with 87 points in the Metro. And then Washington currently holding on to that second wild card spot with 85 points, only 2 points back, but they're in the other conference, I think. So they might not have to worry about that, or the division. But then you got Pittsburgh and Detroit and Philly, I guess, that are really close to each other. So we're almost there. Last week. Any thoughts on these teams? Who do you think is going to get that final wild card spot? Will the Islanders hold on to their spot? Is, I guess, maybe my bigger question.
I'll go first here. I am a huge Ovi fan. I love history. So nothing would pump me up more than to see the Capitals somehow manage to sneak in. I'm not even a big Capitals fan. I'm just a big Ovi fan. And minus 40 and still even being mentioned to be in the hunt this late is impressive. He's absolutely turned it on, Ovi that is, since January. He's got 40 goals in his last 30 or 29 games, something outrageous like that. I mean, it's hard to not root for the guy, and if the playoffs helps him get there, it's always great to see players of that caliber in it. And if it were up to me, I would want to see the Capitals and the Penguins. And ultimately, next year or whatever, when we get a healthy Bedard, I know I keep talking about him, whatever. But that's the stuff that's exciting, seeing this old generation of player meet the new generation. And, Boston has just been a fucking wagon for so many years now. And rightfully so. They have a good team. They're right up there with the Maple Leafs. That first round, it'll get you. It will get you. But God, I'm pulling for the Caps. I really am.
Yeah, Caps are down right now. Caps are down right now, and Pittsburgh is winning, so they could be sneaking out of that wild card spot as of tonight. But
yeah, RTC, you're not doing your boy Ovi any favors with Buffalo beating the
Buffalo's
Capitals
gonna
right now
win.
with under a minute to go.
Well,
Up 4-2.
We do suck, and we managed to fuck everything up, so I'm not surprised.
There you go. What about you, RTC? What are your thoughts here?
I just told you my thoughts.
Right, Scarata. My bad. You told me though. I didn't have to listen, I guess.
That's what we get for not doing one in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Just a little hiccup there. That's all good.
No, I'm just looking at some of the games that are yet games, 80, 81, and 82s. There's some gigantic games coming up. The Red Wings just pulled within one of the Penguins, 7 minutes to go in that one. The Flyers are beating the Rangers right now, 8:40 to go in the third. And then obviously we just talked about the Sabres, who look like they are going to defeat the Washington Capitals by a score of 4-2, pending any empty net shenanigans taking place there. The Islanders tied with Montreal at the end of 2 periods, 1-1. So that's interesting to watch. And it's the fun part about this is that the Capitals, the Penguins, the Red Wings, the Flyers, I think they all play each other at some point over the next 4 games.
That's sweet.
Which is we can't ask for it any better than that, I don't think. I think game 82 is Pittsburgh and Washington or something. Let me let's have a gander at this. Stand by.
Pittsburgh and Islanders.
Pittsburgh plays the Islanders. Yep. Let's see. The Capitals
have
play
each other in their last game.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's lining itself up real nice.
Yeah, the moon aligned the other day. The stars are aligning for us now. And the Red Wings have to play a back-to-back.
Yeah, that sucks.
For game 81 and 82. That sucks.
That's the one way to close out the season, buddy. But
yeah.
So who do you think gets the who's in? Do the Islanders hold their spot?
I think the Islanders hold their spot.
Okay.
I think they probably win. I don't know who they're playing. Let's see who they're up against.
Just think about how every team's been doing. The Islanders haven't been doing too bad lately. 7-3-0 in their last 10,
Yeah,
right? The
I mean their
Caps,
last
we
10
talked
is
about them like 2 shows ago. They were on an absolute heater. They've fallen off again. The Caps have fallen off again. Like they're
yeah.
not great. Pittsburgh's turned it on as of late. Detroit is fucking. I have no clue what they're gonna do on a night-to-night basis. They are very similar to the Buffalo Sabres in my opinion. They just like sometimes they're really good and sometimes holy shit, what are they doing? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
be really disappointing as a Detroit Red Wing fan to have the team that you did this season go and get Kane. He gets
Oh
in the
yeah.
lineup and then not make playoffs. Like that's tough. I truly believe that like they should have expected to make it after what they did at the beginning of the season and some of the moves. And then the Flyers, man, like the Flyers were in a playoff spot for the longest time, and they've just had a trash back end of the season, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1-6-3 in their last 10. But going back to Detroit, I mean the way they started the season, I think, even though like they haven't made the playoffs in a significant amount of time for the Red Wings, really,
mm-hmm.
um, I, I think as a Red Wings fan, you're extremely disappointed with how everything was starting to come together, and you got Patrick Kane about a month and a half into the season. The stars were aligning to, hey, not just make the playoffs, but hey, we can maybe make some noise here too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on the outside looking in. I don't know when their next game is, but um, yeah, they either need to pull something out against Pittsburgh tonight, which is probably, I haven't tuned into it at all, but that's probably a pretty much like a playoff atmosphere in Pittsburgh. Because I mean, you're level on points. The
Their
winner
next
of
game,
that
Detroit's
game,
next game is against the Leafs on Saturday, so it's not getting easier. Although the Leafs are losing to New Jersey right now, and of course it's the night that I bet them to win. That's usually the way she goes. Wings just
yeah.
tied it, says Levi. Okay, all right, all right.
Oh wow.
That's a big game. I kind of want to shut this down and just watch it. But who's in? Who's in? And we'll move on to the Western Conference. Who do you think?
I think New York and Pittsburgh.
New York and Pittsburgh?
Give me the hot hands.
Yeah.
Give me the
Um,
hot hands.
I am actually, as lame as this is, I'm going to agree with you. I think the Islanders and the Penguins get in. And RTC says Washington because he's an OV fan and a big history guy. And do the Islanders hold their spot, RTC?
I don't think so.
All right. I like it. Who gets in instead of the Islanders then?
I mean, I'm gonna go Caps, and I'm gonna stick with the Caps.
Yeah, but the Caps and who? There's 2
Penguins.
spots to be had. All right. I
Caps,
like that.
Penguins. Yeah.
I like it. All right. Western Conference. You've got the Dallas Stars that are in, Colorado Avalanche that are in, the Winnipeg Jets that are in. Nothing has really changed this season in those top 3 teams. The Vancouver Canucks, Edmonton Oilers are in, and then as of right now, the Nashville Predators are in as well, locked in. 2 teams that are in playoffs right now that are not locked in is the LA Kings, similar to the Islanders, holding on to that 3rd spot in their division with 93 points. And the struggling Vegas Golden Knights with 92 points, holding that 2nd wildcard spot. Chasing these 2 teams, you got the St. Louis Blues with 89 points. And that's honestly, that's about it. Minnesota Wild with 83 points. I just don't think it's within reach. I know they're not mathematically out, but it's not within reach. So really the only team that can steal a spot is the St. Louis Blues. What do you guys think? Do you think that they can do it? I know there's a little bit of maybe bias here, but let's be realistic. Do you think that the St. Louis Blues are going to make up 3 points or 4 points to the Kings or the Golden Knights?
No.
I love that. That is a quick, firm answer. Now, Scrata might not
Straight
like
to the
that.
point. I know, and I hate to do it, but I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can talk to anybody around here, and I think a lot of people, after beating Chicago last night, everybody was like, "Oh, It's only 3 points. That's it. Like after we lost twice to San Jose in the span of a week and a half.
It's
Like
not good.
if you can't do that, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Like
Nope.
if this is more on Vegas losing the spot than St. Louis taking the spot. I think this, had you told anybody coming into this season, hey, you'd be 3 points out of a playoff spot with 3 games to go, you're looking at, and it's such a weird question right now because half the fan base is going to tell you, well, yeah, we should be in the playoffs every year. The other half's going to be like, well, after last season, absolutely not. So I think if we make the playoffs, great, and then we'll go ahead and beat Dallas in 6 games because that's usually how it goes. And then just get shit canned the next series. So
Are they going to make it in?
no.
I don't think so either, unfortunately.
And
I think they
always
came out of
say,
fucking nowhere for me, to be completely honest with you. I didn't even realize that they even had a shot. But like,
and I always say this because Vegas's last 2 games is against Chicago and Anaheim. And they really only have to get 3 points.
yeah, and if it was our league, those would just be forfeits anyways. Easy dubs, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And like Minnesota's not a gimme win, but like they should be beating Minnesota. I don't expect them to beat Colorado. But after that, that's pretty much that's GG's. So
okay. All right.
So I'm curious. Being a Blues fan, right? Obviously, Kansas City, knows how to win. What baseball team won a couple years ago? Chiefs obviously suck. It's just this whole thing. When you're in a city that's used to winning, very similar to how Boston is and even was, you can argue with their football team, the basketball team, everything else. You kind of got all the stars aligning. When you're only 3 points out, do you really call it quits? Because, like, if Buffalo was 3 points out, we would be fucking pumped. Like, we're used to misery. And not so much, like, losing, but I mean losing in a terribly bad fashion. Like, what's the line? And is it the city that dictates it? Like, when you're so used to winning, when do you settle for mediocrity?
I think the thing is obviously you have your educated fan base, you have your non-educated fan base, the people that see the Blues lifting the Stanley Cup in 2019 and thinking we should be in and around the ballpark every year.
Gloria, Gloria. Play it.
But
Somebody hit the play button.
Don't do it.
I think a lot of people of the educated variety didn't really expect much out of this season because the contracts of the defensemen are so terrible. Really, the only one that's playing to his contract is Colton Parayko.
Love that kid.
Which was not the case last season for a good majority of it. And then the trade deadline hit, and then he turned into a fucking rock. But like, Torrey Krug's got to go. Nick Leddy, I'd entertain staying. He's been all right. Justin Falk, I don't know what's gotten into that man this season, but he's had probably the worst season that I can remember, and his first season here was pretty rough.
Buddy, that guy had miles on him before he came over.
Yes,
that guy had some miles,
and I think that's starting to catch up with him a little bit. And he's not that old either. But
he's
like
a big boy. He's played a lot of minutes in his career, man. Like,
yes, he started young too. I think he got his debut when he was like 23, 24 with Carolina. So he's, like you said, he's got mileage on him. I think Scott Perunovich is a good defenseman, not a great defenseman. He'll be good on your third line. But like when you have guys out there like Matt Kessel and Tyler Tucker who are giving you 12 to 18 minutes a night, I mean, you may make the playoffs, but you ain't getting very far unless you're playing Dallas.
Listen, the
So,
team's overachieved, guys. The team's overachieved. They're
thousand
better.
percent,
They're better than
100%.
what they should have been. It's the typical way in the NHL. Now,
Yeah,
RTC, your team has fucking suffered, right? Normally,
We
teams will
suck.
rebuild and they'll be good again. Detroit's going through the same shit, right? Imagine how good they were for so many years. They've been struggling for the last while. They're finally getting close, but it's the cycle of the NHL. And St. Louis, yeah, you guys were great. You had a great team for a while, and unfortunately, you're in that rebuild phase. And I think there's a couple more seasons still before they're going to be a playoff contender at some point.
yeah. I think playoff contender may come next season, maybe the one after, but to actually do damage in the playoffs will be 3-4 years
Well,
away.
you think in a couple of seasons you
Realistically,
probably got a young back end all of a sudden too, though. You got to remember that, right? Like
yeah.
you got a very experienced, good back end. And listen, like yeah, some of them are at the
Yeah,
end of their careers, but eventually those guys are going to move on, and you're going to have new guys come in, and those guys are going to have to learn the league for a bit before they figure it out too, right? So
yeah. The prospects on the back end uh aren't great. There's not a lot in the way of youth coming up through the back. Now, what we've struggled with for probably the last 2-3 years is at forward. There's just no firepower up there at times. I mean, that's what got Craig Berube fired. Just he couldn't score. 5-on-5 penalty kill, couldn't score, or power play, couldn't score. In fact, the only thing that was scoring was the penalty kill. So we've got a couple guys coming up. Bolduc has looked fantastic in his little 20 game cameo that he's had. Zach Dean has looked good at times in the 10 to 12 games that he's dressed this season. So I think there's going to be a lot of fresh faces at the start of next season, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But this year's probably not the year.
so consensus
And
is St.
yeah,
Louis doesn't make playoffs.
yeah,
For the record, Detroit and Pittsburgh going into OT. They each getting a point. That's big.
yeah,
That's huge for what we
yeah.
just talked about. But let's move on.
Mhm.
Let's move to our league. We haven't talked about our league for a while. We just spent 30 minutes talking about the NHL's last week, which I think is fine. But I think it's time we move on to our league because there's a lot going on, a lot to talk about. And starting with the LGHL, our top league, the NHL. All our leagues have gone through the trade deadline, waiver wire. I personally don't like how condensed it is. It's a lot of decision making in a little bit of time. I know we have all season to make trades and stuff, but like fucking one day after another, all the way through, it gets pretty tough. I'd like to see our waiver deadline go back to being like a week later than trade deadline. I just think it's too fresh for after making your final moves and seeing kind of how things play out for you. And some teams, maybe guys go and move to a team that they don't want to play for, and they've ego and they don't show up, and it's I don't know, it's just a little bit added stress having the waiver deadline on the same day, but nonetheless, that's the way it is today. The NHL, before we get into some of that trade stuff, looks like Ottawa somehow was able to get their games rescheduled for yesterday. They played their 3 games yesterday because there was some issues on Tuesday night, I believe. I don't know if you guys had suffered through any of that, but it looked like maybe there was some connection issues through EA, and some people were saying it was the AT&T problem again. Other people were saying it's
Yeah.
something to do with the way you connect to the club. I don't fucking know, but I'm so sick of this shit. But it looks like Ottawa somehow found a way to get 3 games rescheduled, benefited them as well, going 2-0-1 on Wednesday night. But yeah, so NHL, we're coming into what, the last 2 weeks of our regular seasons. I think as we go through these leagues, let's talk about the trades. If there was any notable trades to talk through, there was some crazy stuff going on, and I'll bring some stuff up as we go. Let's talk about any notes that you have from that league, and then I think for each league we'll talk about with 2 weeks left, is there a favorite for President's Trophy and favorite for most points in the regular season? Let's do that. So let's start maybe with the trades, guys. Was there anything that stood out to you guys from a trades perspective in the NHL?
I hate to say it. I feel like, the community deserves better. I'll just lead with that. I don't know the NHL players well enough to really be like, holy shit, like this guy's gone, or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. I will say that like I was monitoring it, as best I could without going too crazy. And the one thing that really stood out to me during that entire thing was the amount of draft picks that get traded. And, you know, I'm very curious to how reckless an owner can be with their draft picks and like what implications that has for the future of not only like their club, but like them as a manager in LG, I understand that, you have to do like a 2 season, sign up type deal, yada yada, whatever the case is. But like, what if you're on your last season of that and you just kind of give away the fucking franchise?
Yeah, I don't
Because there
know
was
if
a
they'd let that
lot of
happen though, will they?
swaps.
Yeah, there was a lot of
I don't
swaps. I
know.
agree.
There was a lot of swaps. It was like, hey, I'll give you my first round for your first round, and it
Yeah,
wasn't like I'm going to give you a first, second, and third for this fucking crazy guy. There was just a lot of first for first, second for second, so on and
yeah.
so forth. So like, I don't know. I just found that very interesting. I would love to hear your guys' perspective, on that specifically and see like I don't know. Maybe I'm missing part of the strategy there. I've never had to deal with draft picks. I'm not too familiar with the strategy that goes into them. Obviously, a first round draft pick is pretty good, and a trade, but I don't know. I just thought that was weird going 1-for-1, etc.
I think one of the complexities of this all is the fucking three leagues, right? Like everyone being affiliated. The trade notes between all three leagues are absolute shit show.
Yeah.
You got draft picks getting moved. Oh, part of an AHL deal or ECHL deal, or you got guy getting traded for nothing, and it's like, oh, ECHL compensation or whatever, right? Because the ECHL has to trade all the TCs. It has to go through the ECHL, right? So it's kind of like, fuck me, man. Trying to figure out what trades are doing what is a little bit crazy. But I mean, Scrata, you're part of the trade deadline too. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on the like RTC's comment about picks, right? Like, do you think there's
Yeah.
any abuse of moving picks?
I wouldn't say abuse. I think with the way the draft was this season, I think caught a lot of people maybe not off guard, but it's a different way that we're drafting now for the first time. And now we're going into season 2 of that. And there's teams, and we saw it with the Sharks last season having the first, second, and third overall picks. Or sorry, first, second, like
Like
13th
fifth.
overall pick.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
crazy. Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
remember that. It was
Um,
Divinity, it was the defenseman, and then they drafted some maybe the goalie.
yeah. Um, but they've gone ahead and done it again. I mean, they've said the season's not their season. They've gotten themselves a bunch of picks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think they've got a healthy amount now. And like they didn't have an awful season. I say they don't have a healthy amount now. They must have flipped them all away because they only have 3 third-round picks now. So, um, yeah, I think going into this season specifically, I think with it being summer season coming up, I think there's less emphasis placed on the draft. You have half the league placing the same amount of weight on the draft as they did last season. The other half of the league not caring about the draft picks at all, and so you just see them being thrown about willy nilly.
Yeah.
And I think Sam made a good point in the chat. Like if you're not picking top 5, top 10, top, I'll give it top 20, top 25 because I've seen some really good guys be in the AHL that come up and play really good on a draft pick contract.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I
This is
think,
where relationships matter,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
This is where relationships matter. Like if I'm with Parksy again and I see Parksy trading away some of his good picks, I'm gonna be like, shit, this sucks. Like we only had third round picks, I think, last season. And we still got
yeah,
decent players out of it, but we could have had some players that, like you just said, they can play in the AHL. There's not a lot of guys. There's not a lot of guys coming from the CHL that are going to play in the NHL next season. There's just not.
yeah,
Right? There's maybe a few,
yeah.
but there
The
is
only
some
guy,
players that can play AHL and definitely ECHL. And
the
if
only,
you
yeah, the only
go ahead,
The only people that are doing that are your guys that are playing esports mainly, and then come over and play. And but because they're a prospect, they have to play in the CHL, and then
Yeah, but those numbers are
you know,
coming down, man. Like those
oh,
numbers, the guys, like we've got
yeah,
the talent, the talent's here now, right? Like we're not getting a lot of new top end talent playing LG.
yeah,
In my opinion, personally, right?
yeah,
I don't even know how many seasons ago it was, but when that coach guy joined the CHL, that was a big fucking deal. He's on Chicken's team, like he was a big deal. Draft was like, yeah, we want this guy. We're gonna get this guy, right? Like and he played in the NHL, right? Like I just don't see a ton of guys like that anymore. Like Jopo
no,
was
yeah.
another one as well that played for the Sioux. Now he's been in the NHL since, right? So, but the new rules of the draft, I do think make your picks a little bit um, more appealing, right? Like, because there's some good players that fall to the CHL. There's also some good players that managed this season in the CHL that could easily be playing in the AHL. To be completely honest with you guys, like some of those guys that we talked about in previous shows and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really important. Like, if the NHL owner is I'm going to say good owner, he'll care about the picks. He or she would care about the picks. But if they're just worried about their own team, they don't care about their picks, man.
Yeah.
Right? Um, but yeah, the one thing I noticed is that Edmonton team was extremely active. I have no clue what the hell was going on with them, but they make like a big trade, including a ton of AHL guys as well. And I think it even slipped down to the ECHL. But they started it off on the third, trading a first round, two first rounds, Dirts and Scanny to Calgary for San Jose's first, Rick Chell, Pittsburgh's second, and Retro versus. So that's a big trade. And then there were some pieces in the AHL that went too, which I think as we get to the AHL, I can mention which ones those were. But then Edmonton traded Retro versus and a first round, which was Arizona's first round, back to Calgary. So Retro goes back to Calgary with another first round pick. They've already traded them, two of them. They give them another first round, give Retro back, and they get Went Back Door and Sniper for a Detroit Red Wings first round. Like, this is where I kind of get your point, right? Like, are we just throwing around draft picks to throw around draft picks? Because there's a lot of first rounds getting tossed around here. And then, so they send Retro back. Then they get this Went Back Door player, send him over to Ottawa for Johnny Hockey. And then they flip Johnny Hockey to Columbus for Math Habs. Like they just kept acquiring people and trading them off to other teams within 2 days, within that deadline day, pretty much. They were super active. And I like that Oilers team. But I have no clue what they were doing at the deadline.
I feel like the Oilers may have felt as though they were in a position where they just completely needed to go for it. Completely needed to go for it. And knew the guys they wanted, reached out ahead of time and said, hey, we want this guy. What does it take to get him? And pretty much did whatever they needed to do to go do that. That's what this sounds like to me. Because, I mean, they're 14 points adrift their divisional race, but they're right in the heat of things in the wild card. You know, they're kind of top of the pack where I'd say you could see a lot of movement. But I feel like at some point though there is trading just to trade. I feel like maybe a little bit of that took place, but
Yeah.
it kind of seems to me like they knew the guys they wanted and just
they had to make
started
some moves to
flipping
get
people.
them.
Yeah.
Because those guys were probably struggling to get the guys that they wanted, so they helped get the guys they wanted so they could get
Yep.
their guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it
They
probably could have. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
it's either that, it's very strategic like that, or like you said, it's just trading just to trade.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
With where they are in the standings, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Tough to be traded to the Calgary Flames, though, as they are the first team in the NHL, AHL, and ECHL to be officially mathematically eliminated from playoffs,
Yeah.
which the ECHL I don't even know if is being flagged properly, but first in the NHL, Calgary Flames eliminated from playoff contention, so that's a tough team to get traded to. And they had some players moved to them. And it looks like maybe they shipped out some guys maybe to put them on some playoff teams as well.
Yeah, I think on the bright side, if you're a Calgary guy, there's 2 weeks left. Just play your games, show up, get them done, be done.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it comes down to for those guys. I think, they had one forfeit last week by the looks. But hopefully that's the end of that. Oh, they had 2 forfeits. Never mind. They had 2 forfeits.
Yeah.
But
so what's it going to look like for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I hope Coachella is ready to help them out. Or
Coachella? No, Calgary
Coachella.
Wranglers.
Yeah, the Wranglers who are in.
That's
a rough spot.
Yeah, that's you had me at Halo, who's changed his name to Awesome Day. That's his team.
Yeah.
He'll do everything he can to help out, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
Any other NHL notes from you guys in general?
At what point do we, as a community, demand better ownership? Like the Calgary Flames, 16, 44, and 4. Holy
Not good.
shit. Right. Not great. That's a lot of people's season down the drain. It's a lot of time down the drain. And I'm a big fan of you bring back good owners, but you have to vet the bad ones.
I think they've done a pretty good job with that though recently.
I mean, you're always going to have a last place team, right? Somebody has to come in last. I'm not disagreeing with that. And even then, ownership of Calgary, not exactly awful players, right? Like they're not bad. But at the same time, when you have a season as abysmal as you just had, are you allowed to return?
Well,
And personally,
probably not.
I think that right. But
I think I don't know if it was their first time even managing in the NHL. Like I don't know. I don't know necessarily. I think Bill Crosby, I know for sure has been an AHL player in the past. He's the GM of the team.
Right.
So is it an experiment gone wrong?
Maybe.
But I'm with you.
I don't know. And it goes back to that thing where all right, if you have owners that miss playoffs for 2 seasons in a row, right, or 3 seasons in a row, cut them. Whatever the community, whatever
if they're competitive, right? If they're a bottom 5 team a couple years in a row, I think I've always agreed in a relegation, some sort of relegation format where your top managers move up and your bottom managers move down.
Right. Or, be eliminated. Hey, you need to enter as a player and, just kind of figure out your own shit.
Yeah. I agree.
Now when you integrate 3 teams together, I feel like the standard should be much higher. If you're an NHL owner, and it goes back, we've had this conversation in past episodes, there needs to be some incentive for all 3 tiers to work together. If you are an NHL owner, you should be just as happy with the success of the AHL team that you were affiliated with and the ECHL team. You're responsible for them. Why should you not also share the success with them?
Yeah. The only thing I would say is we're always looking for owners at that level that are going to be capable to play at that level, and we never really have enough in the NHL. Right? We don't. You see them at this is why I think we had our season delayed one time because of this. They couldn't fill their teams, right? And they're not interested in taking an ECHL owner and putting them in the NHL just because they need to fill a spot. I feel like they do everything they can to try to fill this league with owners that are going to be able to be successful, to the best of their capability, I guess, right? But yeah, I think in this situation, if somebody else steps in that's more qualified for the NHL, I don't doubt that they would put them in this place of this team, right? Like it's just like like you said, like it's
Yeah.
miserable, and you're dealing with some of like the better talent too, and that's how you lose talent in the league by having a team like this, like a tough season, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. K Morrow's gonna manage in the NHL. Well, you got enough money, you can buy a team.
Guy sucks.
Scrata, any thoughts on that? Guy sucks.
No, I mean nothing. Yeah, nothing. I don't think already hasn't been said. I think part of it too is when you're having a losing season, and especially in the case of Calgary, that you just gotta kind of take the roll with the punches a little bit and just kind of see it out. I think that's kind of where you got to be at. I mean Calgary. I'm looking at Arizona, Columbus as well. Teams that are, they're done for the season.
Oh yeah.
There's 2 weeks left. There's 18 games to go. Just see it out. Don't be a dick to anybody. Play the games. Make sure they're getting played. Get fills as needed. Yeah, your record's gonna hurt a little bit. Yeah, your plus minus is gonna hurt a little bit, but just get them done because it causes a lot less problems for the players, the league, the rest of the owners. So that's probably the only thing that I've got on that, and that it really just comes down to the players that you get. Knowing somebody when you go into bidding is 10 times more valuable, because if you know somebody, the chances of them quitting on you are 10 times less. And what's the number one thing that makes people not want to own is the players that they get just not behaving themselves is pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where we kind of go with that one. And I think if you're a player on a bottom team, just see out the season.
Sure.
It's going to be rough, but if you've played on that team all season, you've you've been part of the problem. So just
For sure.
own up, see it out, go again next season.
For sure.
You guys want to know who the worst goal differential for any team across the N, A, E, or C is?
Yeah, now that you brought it up, hell yeah, I'm pumped. Tell me.
I mean, take a guess.
No, buddy. There's 60
There's a
something teams in the CHL.
billion teams.
I mean, the Flames.
Calgary. There you go. Calgary.
Yeah,
Dude. Like, okay, first off,
minus 114 is
I
rough.
would like to say, congratulations to the owners for at least still fielding a fucking team. All right, like, yes, thank you for what you do, and continuing on your duty and everything else for the league's sake. I understand yourself and probably your players are fucking pissed every day that they got to show up and represent the Flames, but the league needs you to show up. All right, you still play a vital role in keeping the integrity of the league, so thank you for doing that. But a minus 114, and we're not even done with the season.
Maine's on their way
Buddy.
there, by the way. Maine is on the way there.
They're close. But they're not there yet.
They got their asses kicked this week.
If it was a brutal week, but it's not
113 for the Maine Mariners. They're
It's a race.
one behind.
So one goal.
It's a race.
One
goal. No.
All right.
Oh,
It's one goal. But still.
But yeah, you're right. No, 100%.
Again, we're talking about an ECHL team, all right, who in some respects is the lowest tier, right? As far as the three is concerned, you have the N, the A, and the E. Those are your affiliates.
And the C.
That is the lowest tier.
NCAA.
While the C is not affiliated with any team.
Us lowest tier, bro. What are you doing?
I'm there.
I know.
Whatever.
But at least I'm affiliated. On our names, bro.
Right? But like still, we're talking about an NHL team, the best players, the best managers, or at least that's the stigma that goes with being in the NHL. That's the stigma. You cannot be minus 114.
No, I
That is
agree. Fuck that.
fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
That's
100%.
fucking crazy.
Sucks.
That's a
Sucks.
CHL number. That's a
I would have
like
expected
what the fuck are
A
you talking about?
CHL team to have the
Thank
worst
you.
goal differential, just because there's so many teams, and like your top teams, your top teams, your bottom teams, your bottom teams. I don't know what dance move that is, RTC, but you might want to copyright that one because that was sick. Nice moves.
That's fucking Tuesday for you, bud.
It's
Um,
already been copyrighted.
so standing wise, guys, we're looking very similar in the NHL that we did last season. A lot of the same teams in the
Mm-hmm.
same spots. You got the Isles GT team right at the top again in the Eastern. They have 88 points. Hurricanes close behind them with 86 points. And then in the West, you got the Ducks gaming team right at the top again. They were there last season, 94 points, trailing them. The Stanley Cup winners last season, another team that was at the top of their conference last season, the Colorado Avalanche, 88 points. Now, right now, the Ducks are 6 points ahead of the closest team. So right now, they're in the President's Trophy spot. Is there a team that you think will overtake the Ducks, or do you think the Ducks are going to get the President's Trophy for the second season in a row? I believe they got it last season. I'm almost positive they did. I'll look that up while you guys let me know what your thoughts are. Yes, they did.
Yeah. Here's the thing with the Ducks is that they look like a very good team, but for whatever reason, when I watched them in the playoffs last season, they played so differently to the way they did in the regular season, and I'm curious if that repeats itself again. Because I have no doubt that they clearly have the ability to have the 1 seed, and kind of average week from Colorado has helped cement that a little bit more. And they've won 6 games in a row. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10. It's just I don't know what it is with the Ducks that you know something about the team. I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't put a finger on it to say why I don't get playoff warm fuzzies about them.
But this isn't about playoffs, though, right? This is about them. President's Trophy. Do we think they're going to get
Yes,
the President's Trophy?
President's Trophy.
This is what I'm saying, right? So, like, that's what
Yeah.
I think we want to go through for each league and take a look and see who's leading right now. Do we think they'll be the President's Trophy winner? They won it last season with 127 points.
Yeah.
Now, will they get the 127 this season? Not a chance, right? I don't think so.
No.
But
It'll be very difficult today.
it's the next closest team's 6 points behind them.
Yeah. I think they've got it in them. And the 6-game winning streak certainly proves that. So I would consider them the contenders, but I would also say that Colorado has as much of it in them as Anaheim does.
So you think if a team was to catch them, it'd be Colorado, not Isles. Isles and Colorado tied with 88 points right now.
I think that Eastern Conference has got a little more competition to it.
Well, you're playing everybody. You're not just play your inner conference, though, right? So
yeah, but you're going to see those guys a lot more.
I would agree with you, though. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to make sure that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think Ducks got it. I think the Ducks take it because to make 6 points up in the league is not hard, but to make 6 points up on the team that's at the top, there's a reason they're at the top with the most points. They don't lose a lot. So it's much harder to make up those points, right? So I don't know, RTC, what are your thoughts?
No, I really like this Ducks team and that pick. The 6-game win streak, that's huge. What stands out to me though is, when you go to the stats and you're looking up all these guys and everything, nobody on that team is putting up sexy numbers. And to me, teams that put up sexy numbers, or players, I should say, that put up sexy numbers are a distraction. Right? So none of their guys top 25 in points. None of them. What that means to me is that you have a team. You don't have individuals playing. You don't have a number one guy that's there to carry a line. You don't have 3 guys to have an ultimate game 7 line to do your thing. You have a team. You have 3 lines that you can field at any point, and they will compete. You don't have to worry about line matching. You don't have to worry about team matching. None of that shit. You can play people off of their avail. I think Scarata just died.
It's all good.
But
I'll get him back in here.
Yeah.
I love teams like that. Whenever I see somebody at the like number one, you got Bandit up top, Sabres. All right, great, good for him, playing outstanding. Every single player that's always at the top, very, very rare that they end up on the top team. Yes, their team will be good for the most part. More than likely, statistics, and all that shit. Yes, they will have a good team. But I like seeing teams, personally, that don't have those guys, but yet the team is on top. And that's why I think the Ducks are they're going to close out as presidents again. How far they go in the playoffs? I don't know. I'm confident saying I don't know. But to finish out the season, I think that they got it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do like some sort of bracket challenge or something for the playoffs. We'll do still the same kind of format that we did last season and go through our predictions. But I think it'd be cool to do like a bracket challenge, like you do with like any other like the real hockey, right? I think that'd be cool. Predict it all the way. Lock in your teams early, right? But
best bracket gets a ad-free LG subscription.
Yeah, good luck
for season 48.
Good fucking luck.
No. I'm pretty sure McDonald told me that. I gotta find the receipt though.
Yeah, it's in the mail. So we got our presidents. Our favorites for presidents is the Ducks. Now, let's look at stats. Let's look at player points right now. Leading the league right now, currently, is Bandit of the Buffalo Sabres with 70 points. You got Zachary with 68 points. Vancouver Canucks. Luffy, 68 points as well of the Montreal Canadiens. Barzy of the Sharks gaming team, 65. Berube with 64. And we'll put Santini in there. Santini, 7 of the Toronto Maple Leafs, 64. And J. Claus with 64. Pretty close. Pretty tight. I've seen some crazy things happen. Last year in the AHL, last season, was insane. Celebrini and Razor Gods going at the end of the season. The amount of points both of those clowns put up in the fucking final night was insane.
There was no intention behind it. There was no intention behind it, trust me.
It was just crazy. Anyways, now Bandit 13-6-2 record. Like none of these records are like crazy other than I guess Barzy at 17-3-2 is your best record in your top guys. What do we think? Bandits 70 points, and between him and 7th spot, it's only 6 points. Do we think that Bandit can hold on to this spot, or is there somebody else that you think is going to take this?
Trying to see who he's playing with. He had a 7-point game against the Jets the other night. Let's see what his line mates are cooking up.
51 goals is nuts. 68 points, 51 goals.
Is that Zachary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Guy's been on a heater. Guy's been on an absolute heater. He's putting up double-digit points the last 3 weeks in a row. He went 16 points in week 5, 10 points in week 6, and 12 points in week 7.
Yeah, and his line mates are both over 50 points right now as well. So, I mean, that forward group just seems to be unstoppable.
Rube says Bandit will win.
Yeah, and I mean, even in their losses, he's scoring goals and picking up points. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to look through and see if there's any games where he didn't get a point.
I'm gonna go Zachary.
Yeah,
that's my go. I'm gonna go with it. And I would love to fucking point out that the top 2 point guys, forwards, 10 minutes and 6 minutes in penalties. These guys stay out of the fucking box, dude. Like, you see so many like good forwards, right? Or good forwards that have crazy amounts of points, but they also stay in the box.
Yeah.
These guys make a fucking difference because they're on the ice.
Yeah.
And like I truly believe that is what, separates some of these tiers that we play with. You have AHL, you have ECHL, and like good guys in the AHL should be NHLers. The reason that they're not is because they can't stay out of the fucking box.
Agreed.
Oh,
Yeah.
this game sucks. No, you just don't understand the mechanics behind the game, dude.
Yeah.
Yes, you could score goals, but you can't do that. Stop doing that shit and you're in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Airborne, thank you for the raid. What's going on? Look at this, 22 people joining us. What's going on, everyone? Hopefully, you know a bit about the
hello.
LG League gaming that we play in. That's what we're talking about today. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, RTC. I'm actually gonna go. I think Zachary, just based on his last 3 weeks and how consistent he's been this season, I think if he can keep that up, he's going to get the top scoring in our NHL division. Scarata, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, top scoring. It seems like it's you know, kind of a one horse race at the moment. In terms of points, I'm more interested in that race because that looks nice and close, and I think Bandit in that. He's got his two line mates are right up there with. I mean, Treestone's in the top 10. He's sat at number 8, and then I believe it was I forget who his center was. Big Lizzo is up there with 55 points. Everybody's getting it done on that line.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's getting it done, and like you look at to RTC's point, Bandit's 6 minutes in the box. Treestone's 17 minutes in the box. Lizzo 32 minutes in the box. I'm gonna go ahead and assume most of those are defensive penalties, being he's a center. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe interference in front of the net.
Yeah. Well, a few too many balls.
Center driving the net, man. That's like a big penalty, right? Like drive the net,
Yeah.
get the fucking animation when you hit the guy, and you're in the box for 2.
Yeah, you're 2 minutes for one timing.
Yeah. Right. Trying
I think,
for one time.
Yeah.
But,
so
do you think Bandit can hold on to this then? Is that what you're saying?
I think, with the points, I bet he gets it with the points.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Points. That's what I want to look at.
Well, you said goal scoring.
No. Okay, points. Whatever. Points. To me, it's points. Scoring, titles, whatever. I know in the NHL they have an award for not every league has one for most goals scored. So I was just saying, stay on the same level here. Points. Bandit right now has 70 points. You think he's gonna hold on to it? And RTC and myself are gonna go with Zachary. I think Zachary's just been way too consistent, but Bandit had an absolute heater of a week just recently too. So who knows? It's all gonna be schedule and who you play now for the last 2 weeks. Right, and fuck, you know what? We already talked about it a little bit, and we're going to talk about it all show long. Big things that come into this, that factor into this, is when you play a shit team, and you schedule yourself for scrub hunting, you can call it, and that team takes a forfeit, and you get 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
So if you care about the points, you might want to not be going for those bottom teams in your schedule, right? Like you want to make sure you're playing your games. So, all right. Anything else NHL wise before we move on?
No.
Any crazy battles last 2 weeks? I don't think so. I don't know. We're seeing tons of movement in the Eastern Conference. Western Conference, same thing, near the bottoms. Little bit of a battle for that 8th spot. But yeah. No, I don't think, not much has changed since the last time we talked about this. So let's move on. Let's go over to the AHL. Let's talk trades. Anything that stood out to you guys from a trades perspective in the AHL? Scrata, this is your league. You know all about this stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of crazy movement, especially on deadline day. There's a few teams who I think obviously we're shipping guys to get them on playoff teams. The usual. Some teams kind of solidifying second, third lines. We had a trade reversed, which has some spice into it. Yeah. But uh, there wasn't a whole lot that took place down here. Now again, there's um, a lot of trade notes. A lot of trade notes. There is a novel
Bad day to be
full
illiterate.
of yes, yeah, yeah. No kidding. But yeah, no, I think a fairly calm deadline day. We did see the $8.5 million man Lish get moved um, in a trade, which how teams are able to get out of these $6, $7, $8 million contracts is beyond me. But the Hartford took him, and okay, so
Hartford
yeah,
needed to do something. Those guys are a gong show.
yeah, they've been the interesting team of the season. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, went from the
Um,
top to fucking 13th.
yeah, they're definitely the team that we've watched kind of go go back and forth and really really not make a great name for themselves. So yeah,
Agreed.
it's interesting dynamic in Hartford. Um, Calgary doing right by a lot of their guys and flipping guys around and doing that, kind of waving the white flag. Iowa doing a lot of the same. Um, yeah, no, I think a fairly calm deadline day.
Yeah.
Um,
So that
yeah.
Edmonton trade that I was talking about, where they moved for retro and they
Yeah.
moved some picks and stuff. This was the second part of the trade, or the AHL part of the trade, and it was between the Condors, which is Edmonton's farm team, and the Wranglers. So Croft
Yeah.
tonight, Sacrifice, Luke's A, and Phil A are traded from the Condors. Those are four decent names in that league. Going to the Wranglers for Parker McLovin, Shem, Con, Uncle Juice, and the Viper '07. Remember I said, like, we just talked about there was 2 players, 2 picks in the NHL. And then it said trade notes, AHL and ECHL doing some stuff too. That's a lot of players. And this trade, to me, meant absolutely fucking nothing. The Wranglers and the Condors are out of playoffs. They're only a couple points of one. I think the Condors are a couple points ahead of them. And they're in like the, 1 second, they're in the 12-13 spot. So the Condors actually have more points than the Wranglers. But, like, I don't know. It just seems really strange to me. I don't know what happened there. But anyways, that was the other part of this trade that I was just like, holy shit, there's so many moves happening at the same time for the same trade.
Yeah, it makes you wonder whether that was just two teams having fun at the trade deadline.
Yeah, well, you're moving buddies, right? Like Shem and Con are boys, so like I think moving them together or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
yeah,
So,
maybe something to that.
yeah.
But
But yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it looked like it was actually relatively calm. RTC, was there any trades that you saw that you were like, oh, cool, that was an interesting one?
No,
No.
no, not really. I mean, the most that like I've been watching is just team streaking. The AHL is getting fucking hot, boys. Like the NHL, we got some clear cut teams. You know what I mean? Like how we were just talking about the President's Trophy and everything. AHL, not in this league. It's a fucking gong show. I don't know if you're ready to move on to that,
No, here, I'm just gonna
but
mention one thing. The only one thing I saw is, before we move on to any other notes, was the from a trades perspective, and this will touch like you a little bit here, is that the your previous team from last year, your most competitive line was Roll Backwoods, Mudano, or what is it, what was his name?
Mondo mentality
Mondo
and race.
Mentality, and then Razor. Now,
Yeah,
Razor obviously did not start with those guys. Razor's in the NHL. He got moved to a good team. Good for him.
yeah,
Mondo Mentality was moved to the Chicago Wolves. top team in
Yep.
the AHL. And then Rolla Backwoods just got moved at the deadline as well, going to the Tucson Roadrunners. So now that line is gone. Both, I think, Mentality and Rolla Backwoods both re-signed this year, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Now they have
Yep.
both moved on to new teams, and I thought that was pretty interesting just to see that happen. I also saw Vehi trading his boy. I would never have expected this to your team. I don't know. I just never thought that would ever happen. But, I mean, to me, that's really not much of a, like, it's a nothing trade really. But
Yeah, it helped Fahey out a little bit because he was down a forward at the time of the trade. So we sent him two guys who
got you.
could have helped him push. And I'm like, listen, just give me somebody back who, I know. He's like, well, I'll give you Dauntless if you
It's
want.
crazy.
He's not. Yeah, the thing with him is he's been wanting to play left wing all season. He's been stuck at center. Unfortunately.
Trouble in Paradise
Also,
with Vehi and Dauntless.
yeah.
Those guys have played together forever.
Oh yeah, I love the both of them. We had a season. It was our Swift Current season back in season 42 when we went to Mem Cup semis. So yeah, there's a little bit of history behind that one, but
and you know who likes history? RTC. RTC loves history.
Season 42, Barry Colts, greatest run of all time.
Oh shit! Yeah, that touches home for him.
Yeah,
that was the run of the lifetime.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was just nice to have a familiar face and kind of see out the rest of the season with some guys I know. So
yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I had for trades. RTC, you started to move on to your notes there. AHL on fire. Let's talk about it. What's going on?
Well, we got 4 teams in the hunt, so let's start there for top team. Chicago, Laval, you can argue Lehigh and Colorado. I mean, that's a 3-point swing between 4 teams for the top spot. And I don't see that getting any more defined on this stretch. It's going to be a fucking battle all the way to the end. Go ahead.
The Phantoms. You said the Phantoms.
Yeah.
Do you remember our first show and how fucking poorly they did in the first couple weeks? And I was like, I don't know. I really do like this team. And we talked about them. We've kind of talked about them for a while. And boom, 3 points out of being the President's Trophy top dog right now. After having 2 terrible weeks.
They're on a 21-point game streak. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you heard that. Yeah. Last 21 games, they've racked up points. Whether it be an overtime loss or a dub.
Holy moly. That's actually insane.
That's nuts. A fucking run, dude. That's a run.
No, that's huge. 100%. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that.
Something interesting to note, too. They have 1 loss in 1-goal games. 1 regulation loss in a 1-goal game. They are 15-1.
Yeah, but they got 10. They got 10.
I don't want to talk. Let's relax with the OT loss slander, please.
Oh, now I gotta see.
There's only one team better at it. But yeah, I mean,
wow.
It's the Springfield Thunderbirds.
No,
that's who it is.
Yeah, I think
it's not the Thunderbirds.
They have more overtime losses.
Oh, losses. Sorry.
Yeah. You're number 1.
Thank you. First in something this year.
Job.
Thank you. Team was assembled with that intention in mind. Anyway, yeah, no, teams kind of shocked me out of nowhere. Aside from the obvious, Colorado Eagles, because we kind of looked at Texas and said, yeah, these are the guys out west.
I agree.
And there's, a 7-3 week can only be topped by an 8-2 week or a 9-1 or a 10-0. Well, Colorado got their 8-2 week, and there's a nice little 5-point cushion in between the two of those teams right now. So I think, and I'm going to say this now, it'll get clipped and I'll get dragged later for it, but I think Colorado and Texas are probably our Western final. Like, in actuality, unless something implodes or, there's one team that I think kind of causes problems to the status quo. I think it's Manitoba. Seeing how they play, seeing how not just their first, but their second and their third lines play as well. These guys go out there and give less than 0 fucks when they play. They literally just go out and raise the village and beat you by 6. So I think if they can channel that Manitoba into kind of a more of a playoff mold, I think Manitoba are going to cause problems. That is a team who I would not want to see in the playoffs. And that is going to affect Texas going into this too, because, hey, you come out of your first series and all of a sudden, you got to play either Manitoba or Tucson. Manitoba comes out of that series. Hello. We've got ourselves a nice little Western Conference semifinal taking place there. So, yeah, I think the number 1 seed in the West is crucial for not just Colorado, but for Texas as well.
Yeah. All right. So, President's Trophy favorite, in your opinion, Scrata, is Colorado?
In terms of oh, don't do that to me.
No, that's what we're doing. If you need a second, I can move to RTC. If you have a favorite
It's RTC first.
you kick this off.
No,
for
I mean,
us.
I want to jump off that Manitoba thing, just for a second while you're getting your thoughts together. So it's funny you said that, the second and third line, they'll come out and they'll beat you by 6, right? Which is obviously apparent with 204 goals for. Okay, that's right up there with top dogs in the AHL. They're almost 501 goal games. So are these one of those teams that if they don't beat you by 3 or more goals, can they win it in a 1-goal game? All this shit's cool and everything, but everybody knows if you've ever been, doing anything in the playoffs, 1-goal games matter. Not overtime losses, 1-goal games. Can this team do it? Good teams win those games. Any team could put up a 3-goal game and go off, whatever. But can you win the 1-goal game? That's a grinder.
Yeah. And those are big, right? Like, overtime losses are a big stat to look at as you move
Absolutely.
into playoff, because there's no such thing as an overtime loss. You don't get points. You just lose. You're done.
No, absolutely.
Right? It's wins and
And then,
losses at
you
that point.
you want to get even further into it, yeah, like, sure. All right. The Western, yeah. Eagles are going to lock up the Western. I think that's pretty, confident. I understand we're going to go with the President's Trophy, sure. But, like, Henderson, that whole division, scrap that. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope you don't say that about the division in the ECHL. That's very similar.
Well, I'm probably gonna.
Well, we'll
I'm
wait
here
till
to
we
speak
get
the
there. I
truth
guess.
tonight,
I guess we'll wait
goddammit.
till we get there. I guess we'll wait till we get there. But you're right. No, I think you're right. Colorado, WHL, the Western Conference favorite, I would say.
Yeah.
President's
As far as
Trophy.
President's
Who you
Trophy. All right, we can't all pick the same. So I'm going first.
got?
You
Was
can't
it
pick
a
the same.
draft?
That's
Are
the
we doing
rule.
a draft? Okay, fine. Let's do that. I'm down
That's
with
the
that.
rule.
So
That's the
we'll do
rule.
snake draft. That's fine. I'll stay.
All right.
I'll stay middle if you guys are cool with that.
Snake draft for
Yeah.
me.
So then
All right,
ECHL will go the other way. Scrata can
I
go
know
first.
you're gonna go. All right, go ahead.
Do I get to stay?
You
No,
were
no,
asked
no. No,
first.
you get to go first. RTC, you go first. I'll
All
go
right.
second. Then Scrata. Then ECHL will be Scrata. Then me. Then you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Are you good with that, Scrata? Are you okay taking
Yeah.
the number 3 spot? You know this league way better than us. So
Yeah, this
Sure.
is your league. So
Unfortunately,
don't
yes.
fuck this up. Is
Okay.
what we're getting at.
Don't
Go.
tell me what to do.
First pick for President's Trophy favorite, and we're not allowed to pick the same. RTC's
Right.
rules. Go. RTC. First pick overall. President's Trophy winner.
Uh,
Favorite.
Laval Rocket.
Okay. We've got Laval is off the table. We'll move to second pick, and that'll be me. I'm gonna go with the Wolves. I'm gonna go with Chicago. They've been good all season. They've been at the top of that league pretty much all season long. I'm gonna take Chicago, and I'm sure Scarata's not gonna be upset with his third overall pick for President's Trophy favorite. Who do you got, Scarata?
No, I'll take the Steamrollers, the Phantoms.
I like it. I like that pick,
I
man.
thought you were gonna take him, honestly, Kahuna. That's why I didn't take him. So I'm glad Scarata take him.
No, I'm gonna go be the homer and take my AHL club. They've been good all season, man. I like them. They're doing great.
So I forget who it was patched in the chat. Let me know ahead of time what Monday's going to contain. Monday's going to be spicy.
Might be
I'm
all
liking it.
all AHL games on Monday Night Hockey or what?
The predetermined 9:35 slot for the AHL contains the Colorado Eagles traveling east to visit the Chicago Wolves.
Big game. Let's go. I love that. I love that. Now I will say this about the Chicago Wolves and my AHL club that has been doing so great. They need to support their goalies. These goalies stand on their fucking head every night they play. Patched and still alive have had so many like 1-goal games. There's like 2-1 or 1-0. They need scoring support. Soldier Man played last week for these guys, lost his first game 1-0, and I think won the second game by like he only allowed 1 goal too, but it wasn't like a big blowout either. These guys need to find a way to score more goals and get some more goalie support because these goalies have been great this season. And man, I see some of these goals on goalies in this league, and it makes me a little bit scary at 1-goal games. Right? You need that little bit of comfort, for sure. But I think all three of our picks are great, and they're all Eastern Conference. And I've kind of found as we look at these leagues, for some reason, our Eastern Conferences seem to be in totality stronger than the Western Conferences.
Not shocking. It's like the real world. East Coast, West Coast.
Now, is that a reflection on
as Vegas, Colorado wins the Stanley Cup?
Sure, but but like what I'm saying though, right? Like in our leagues, is that as a reflection of management as well, like all the way through the organizations?
It's fair.
Possibly.
And is there a pushback? Is there a pushback to say that that's not true? I'm not saying there's no good teams in the Western Conference. I'm saying that the Eastern Conferences seem to be doing better than the Western Conference teams in general.
It's fair. Very fair statement. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but I agree with it.
Right? I know there's guys in the ECHL as we move to that league next that are in the Eastern Conference that are pissed off because they're out of playoff contention, but had they been in the Western Conference, they're in.
Well, I mean, you can always do that game.
No, but sure, but let's be realistic here though. Like if you had the a Western Conference team versus an Eastern Conference team, you're still coming out of bidding with the exact same team. Right? So there's a reason to be a little bit frustrated with that because you would have had the same team, you just would have been in the other conference.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
but
not
I mean,
like
you're also playing a lot different people.
But you don't. You
more
play
regularly.
You don't.
But you play everybody.
You play everybody the same.
Mm.
I'm not positive on that. Actually, I'm not positive on that. But I know the CHL and the WHL specifically, it's not like that. But like I'm pretty sure we all play the same amount of the same teams, the same amount of times. But anyways,
if that is true, you are 1,000% correct. If it's not true and you play East Coast teams more than you play West Coast,
you play your division a lot more than you do.
Oh, you do?
Other teams. Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to double check that, but yeah, I didn't realize that. Interesting.
Yeah, I think at the end of last season we played Bakersfield like 4 times in 3 weeks.
What? Are you sure that wasn't like a playoff round, bro?
No. Because if there was a playoff round that took 3 weeks, I'd jump off a cliff.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You play your interdivision 4 times, maybe your
Mhm.
conference 4 times each in the season, and then you play like the other
Yeah.
side 2 times. So no, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Oh yeah, stats. Let's go to the stats. Points leader in the AHL right now is currently Shem, who was just traded to the Bakersfield Condors. 65 points. Comrade Borker of the Phantoms, 64 points, who is not shy of being a point leader as he led the CHL one season. Yeah, Clutch with 59 points. I'm so sorry, 59 points. Jack Dupe, 59 points. Barks, 59 points. And and then Canadian Gangster, we can say Canadian Gangster with 58 points. Safe to say, points are down in the AHL this season versus previous season. Is that correct? Like Celebrini and Razor last season, they put up some big numbers, didn't they? Like in the 100?
Yeah, 110, I think, is what Celebrini ended on standby.
With 65 leading the way right now. That's lower than what we would
Yeah.
normally see, right?
106 from Celebrini last season.
Okay, so 106 and Razor was 104?
105.
105.
Pat
Okay.
was 104.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So think of that though. Like we have 2 weeks left and we're at almost half of just over half of the point total from last season.
So what does that say to you?
The competition. We talked about it before. I truly believe that our competition is much better this season, and things are balanced out now that we've all played together for a season with the Xbox PSN guys, and kind of people are finding their way on what leagues they're supposed to be in. Right, there was a lot of bidding in season 1 in the first season of this game, 24. Where I think there was some historically good players that maybe not as great at this game that they were in the past, and I think there's balancing out, right? So, okay, we got 2 weeks left. It's tight. Who do you guys got? And then we'll move on to the ECHL.
I'm gonna go Comrade Borker because that's who I was just playing with as we started the stream, and go Phantoms.
Oh yeah, right. That's your affiliation again. I forgot about that. Good.
Yeah, I think Borker's probably in the best case scenario to take that home. He's on a team that's flying high, his line's insane, and he's not only scoring but getting assists as well. So, yeah, I would have to give it to Borker if I'm gonna pick anybody.
Just I like that pick. I like the Borker pick. Man, none of these guys are consistently putting up like double-digit points every week, unfortunately. I'm actually going to take I'm so sorry. I think he's going to sneak in there. And the reason I say that is because his last 4 weeks, I'll look back. Week 7, he put up 10 points. Week 6 was 7. 11 in week 5. Week 4 was 13. He's been doing really well. Whereas I looked at the other guys and they were kind of like, they've had a week in there where they didn't do great. Maybe he's due for a poor week, but I'll take Sorry of the Manitoba Moose.
Yeah, he got his move from Tucson, and again, that's part of the Manitoba rebuild on the fly. They kind of made a couple moves midway through the season, not at the trade deadline, but I think they addressed some of their problems early on, and clearly is working out for them.
Cool. All right,
Sam, elaborate on that.
Yeah, we can touch on that after we get through these leagues. Just let's make note of that one.
Yeah.
All right. ECHL. ECHL trade deadline. Guys, this ECHL, the amount of trades that happen in general this season is it's gong show. There were so many trades, but this is where all the TC trades get made too, right? So, and a lot of compensation for NHL and AHL trades. So where are the true trades in this league? Is there any that stood out to you guys from trade deadline from the ECHL?
I don't even
A
know where to
lot.
begin with this one.
There was a lot that, I tried to take as good a notes as I could.
Yeah.
So first off, big player was going to the Kamloops. That's huge. Hoodler to Utah, also huge.
Did you
All
say
right.
Kamloops?
Yeah.
Kamloops is not a team in the ECHL.
Well, fucking whatever, dude. Kalamazoo. That's what I said.
Nailed it.
Fine.
Okay, so hold on. So let's just not quickly move away from that because that to me might have been the biggest trade at deadline because Kalamazoo was doing great and they moved two good players for Wizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very surprised to see that they moved Swizz, who was doing very well with that team. And I just don't know if this was a good trade. I just don't know if this was a good trade for Kalamazoo.
Well, do you think a little bit of panic mode set in for them? I mean, they were a top team. I mean, literal, top for a little bit. Recent weeks, they've kind of dropped a little bit. I mean, they're still having a very good season. They got 85 points, but they went from first to fourth. They were a wagon for a little bit.
Mhm.
Not quite sure what happened. Obviously, something did. But they've completely lost control of the West. And I don't know. I think that that's an interesting trade.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I personally I personally don't like the trade for Kalamazoo. Just because I
right.
thought Swizz was doing great with them. I thought I think his record was unreal. Like it just seemed very strange. It's a very strange move. Now Wiz is a great player. Wiz is good at this game.
Right. Right.
But unless you know the guy, I don't know if you're bringing him in. That's all.
Yeah.
To me, it's a
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, yeah, the record is great, but if yeah.
Cool.
I'll just
All
I'll
right.
just say that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean,
That's
I
fine.
got some other
Yeah,
things.
go ahead.
Newfoundland. Obviously, disappointing in all three of our books throughout most of the season. Last week, possibly 2 weeks, they've been on a fucking heater. All right. I don't know if we're, gonna go as far to say that they're back, right? But they have definitely clawed back from where they were. They're not out of it. They're 3 points back from playoffs, and they got their goalie back. The GIW, however you want to pronounce that, whatever. That was their goalie last season. That was their number one guy. He has been to damn near every team in the ECHL this season and has been, well, his stat line is probably described best by pathetic at best. And now he's back with the boys. So was it the teams that he was on? Was he just in a slump? Did he not give a shit? We'll find out. Because I don't think that, what we've seen out of him all season is what we're going to see on this run with, Newfoundland or Newfoundland, as I like to say.
Oh, you nailed it. You've
So
changed your ways and you've been saying it right. You don't have to go back, bro.
I keep talking to you too much. That's the problem.
It's good. We'll make you a Canadian in no time, buds. No, I love the trades. I love Newfoundland. Listen, they had a shitty season. Let's just say that. But at no point have we ever written them off on this show. We continue to talk highly of that team and say they're underperforming. They're underperforming. Look where they are now. Now we'll talk standings here shortly. About President's Trophy winner. Maybe one of us talks a little bit about a couple teams that are out that could make it in. But I love that trade for them. I love that. Bring a familiar face back in. Goalie's been not having a great season this season. I think it's a win. I think that's a good trade for them because he's gonna excel with them again. It's a good trade. What other trades? I know you got a few.
The last thing that I got. It was the biggest trade I've ever seen in LG, and I'm sure there was bigger or whatever, but it was the biggest one that I've noticed personally. A 12-person swap between Idaho and Wheeling.
What the fuck? I
Dude,
know.
like when that alert like popped up on like the shout box or whatever, I was like,
Yeah, it probably
Yeah.
took up the whole
I had
text
to like
box.
scroll
Yeah.
through the whole fucking, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And mind you, Idaho, all right, whatever, right? You know, fine. They're out. They're fucking dead.
Yeah.
But the Nailers, I mean, this is the Kelly Cup team of last season. A lot of those guys returned this season. Obviously not doing as good as they hoped.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big fucking trade.
Was it though? Was there
A
even
12
like
a
was there
12
even roster guys in there?
I
Like maybe Pens? Pens
I
Crosby?
hate to believe that when you have a team a swap that big, regardless if it's roster players or not, that you will not feel the impact of that.
They
You
have to feel
need
it.
TCs.
They probably should have got some roster players out of it. Fucking
I don't even know who was
one
roster on
one
Idaho.
7-1 on the week.
Like I know Captain King they waived right before they traded him.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
The Steelheads have traded Shorty Loose, Buzz, Risto, Sauce, like whole Jesus
Captain
Christ.
King, Crooked's back, Dowdy, and Kierdust.
Yeah.
Now, maybe Pens Crosby on the other side was a roster player. I'm not 100% sure on that, but nonetheless, it
Right.
was like a fucking million players. You're right, millions of players. It just doesn't need
That's
to happen.
fucked.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. There's too much work there. How you come up with that trade? Well, I'll put this guy in. Okay, but if you want this guy, I need at least two more guys back. All right, let's keep going. Let's go. Okay, fine. If you give this, we want this guy then too. Okay, well, then you have to another two more guys in. Like that conversation
Dude.
must have went forever. That must have been 2 weeks in the works,
Right.
especially with how hard it
And
is
for
to make
what?
trades in this league.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. That was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I do, want to give a shout out to the Royals because that's my team. But pretty pumped that we got Jiggly. So
Okay,
thanks
we
for
can
that.
go there. We can go there. You want to
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
this
I-
shit, dude. This is driving me nuts. For another fucking season, that these teams keep giving the fucking powerhouse team the players that they want. No problem, just hand it to them. Last season, you and Morrow got every fucking guy that you wanted, and this season the same shit's happening with this Reading team, and it drives me nuts. I hate that it's Polish and Tanny because I love them both, but fuck this, man. Like, this is driving me up the wall. This was one that I wanted to talk about because,
Tuesday.
let's go. We'll just fucking go get a 6 point whatever fucking $1 million defenseman you are. No problem. Oh, we want to change up our third line that's already really good. They bring in somebody else. Oh, we'll try something else. Let's bring Atlantic in. No problem. Make that trade. And then you go and get Jiggly Puck too. Like this, like stop trading these guys, the top players, the players that they want, man. It's fucking crazy to me.
Special teams.
It's
special plays.
crazy.
Special players.
It drives me up the fucking wall. It happened last season with your team too. Oh my god, man. It's honestly effortless, it looks like, for some of you guys. Just to go and get somebody like that. Now listen, Jigglypuck was a little bit harder for everybody else to want to take on because of his contract. Great player and deserves the money, but not everybody has the cap space. I still have no clue how the Reading Royals have the cap space that they have. But yeah, no, that trade pissed me off. That trade really pissed me off. Because it's just insane that the powerhouse teams just continue to get the big dogs. But at least, like I said, it's Polish and Tanny. You're there. I love you guys. Swifty's there. So it is what it is. I'm not like at least it's somebody that I like and not somebody that I can't stand. Get those arms away from me right now.
I'm gonna give you a hug.
Oh man,
I'm gonna give you a hug.
I needed
It's
that.
gonna
I
be
just
all
needed
right.
that. I needed that so bad, boys. Like that one was one because I know last season I remember being at K Morrow because we have our gold medal chat because we won that together and being like, how the fuck do you just keep getting these guys, man? Literally, it's just like, yeah, we're gonna want this guy. Okay, no problem. Boom, here you go, take him. Anyways, yes, that trade pissed me off. Apparently.
All right. Well,
Clearly.
Scrata, how you doing over there?
What about
I'm
you,
having a
Scrata?
great time.
What about you,
I'm
Scrata?
pissed.
Any of these trades stand out for you?
I I think aside from those already stated, I think a lot of it looks like uh, a lot of TC swaps took place. Um, let's
Yep.
see. Terrio previously waived from the AHL, got his move to, I believe that is the Bloomington Bison.
Yep.
So Bloomington picking up a solid goaltender who, yeah, I think I don't think he played poorly in Coachella. I think he was kind of subject to some poor defense in front of him. So he gets his move. Um, let's see. I am perfectly fine not being a part of that Bloomington locker room, though. I will say that and leave it
Dude,
at
what
that.
happened to that fucking team?
Um,
What do you mean?
Bloomington was kind of fucking gross for a little bit.
I would still argue that they
they
are
still
really good.
are.
Okay. Well, I'll just shut the fuck up over it then.
Well, I was
And
just
they're
like,
they're the fourth seed, 7 points
No, I
back
know.
first. I mean,
they'd be the third seed
I
if
mean-
my division didn't get gifted second spot. Right? They'd be third.
You're not wrong. I mean, I'm just saying for how hot they were.
but they fell off, right?
Did
Yeah.
they?
Right. That's what I'm getting at. They
I
fell
didn't
off
realize
a
that they fell off, to be honest with you. I didn't realize they fell off.
They most certainly didn't. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on. Um,
Yeah, I guess no other trades really. I was happy we went and got, like, listen, this sucks. I had to trade away Eliash. I love Eliash. He's a great goalie, a great dude, so fun to play with. But Ballsy became available, and I was able to get him. So him and Soldier have been a duo of mine in the past, and super excited to have him on the squad. Now that is that's the move for me. That was it. I guess it brought in Dark Danny as well, which he's been very good in this league too. So, but yeah, a lot of goalie movements. I saw a lot of goalies getting moved during the deadline. Jay Shermanator got moved. Talked about the GIW. We talked about Terrio. I saw Thunder Chunk on the move. So there was a lot of goalie movement.
crazy, dude. A lot of good goalies.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
goalies.
Well, I hope they're all good in this league. Although you called
Well.
it the lower league. Wow, whatever.
I mean, it is what it is.
What do you think? Move on to presidents?
I'm ready for my first.
I mean,
first
sure.
overall pick.
Okay.
First, I'm gonna go Comets. I know
You don't
that's a
get
big
first.
fucking
Remember,
shocker.
it's
Not
a
his
snake
pick.
draft. Remember, it's a snake
well,
draft, and you picked first in the
alright.
last league.
Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah.
Rookie
This was
over
literally
here, man.
your
Jesus.
fucking what you wanted to do initially was pick, and nobody could pick the same teams.
I don't know why you're yelling at me. I just work here.
Oh boy. All right. Before we do that, this Eastern Conference, just like from a notes perspective that I had, this Eastern Conference is a gong show. The Eastern, I don't know what it's even. Last season they had names. This season they don't for some reason. But my grouping is the Eastern South, I believe it is. So maybe it's Eastern North. Is the other one? The Eastern North is extremely dominant. Reading, Adirondack, Bloomington. And then the Norfolk Admirals with 81 points in second spot. Those other two teams, Thunder and Bison, both have more points. And then the Railers have 80 points. So it's just like, I could move next week from second to sixth in the blink of an eye. Just like this. Boom, one bad night, you're out. Also, I am only 9 points away from being out of playoffs, which to me is crazy too. So we talked about it, right? That Eastern Conference thing, right? So like the Stingrays with 72 points sitting in 9th spot, they'd be in 7th spot in the Western. And there's been a lot of discussions between the managers chat, and I don't agree with them, but there's been a lot of discussions that like The standards are different from a call-up perspective for each league because it's 10 points out, right? So 10 points out, you can't call anybody up, which I completely agree with. And there's teams that are 10 points out in one conference that wouldn't be 10 points out in the other conference, but those teams with lower points can actually call players up because they're closer in their conference. If that makes sense to you guys. I'm all in. Like, I think that makes sense. Like, the way we do it's the way we do it, and I love it. But it is interesting to see like how much more points there are in the Eastern. And it's scary, to be honest with you. It is a little bit scary because I don't think there's any team that you're like excited to play in the first round of playoffs. But President's Trophy, who's the favorite at this point in time? We have the Fort Wayne Komets who have 101 points. The next closest team is the Allen Americans with 91. And then the Reading Royals at 90. And then I don't think anybody else even has a shot in hell. But Scarata, who do you got?
With the first overall pick in the ECHL President's Trophy draft, I will take the Fort Wayne Komets.
Fort Wayne Komets.
No
Congratulations to the Fort Wayne
Thank you.
Komets.
No way.
I think the only team, well, there's only two teams that really catch them. I will go with if the Fort Wayne Komets were to fall off, the only team that I think would catch them because they were falling off would be the Allen Americans. So I will take the Allen Americans. There's also a strategy to take in the Allen Americans. RTC, who's your pick? If those two teams are not available.
Ah, fuck.
You wouldn't curse your own team, would you?
Yeah, here we go.
Surely he's not going to jinx his own team.
No, but is he going to pick against his own team? This is media for you, buddy. This is it. This is why I never include my team on my show. Because you either go against them or you fuck them up.
Fuck that. Dude, the Royals are going to take it. If those two teams don't, the Royals are taking it.
There you go.
It's that simple.
All right. Boom. All right, points leader. Scotty back at the top. This Adirondack Thunder line has been buzzing. Scotty, Callaway, and Carpy. Scotty's at the top, 78 points. Followed by RLX with 74 of the Allen Americans. McDonald with 73, Scrub Hunting. Disaster Piece, 70 points. And then we got Carpy with 67. We're probably where we are now. So, points leader currently is Scotty. RTC, do you think there's anybody that's going to overtake Scotty in that powerhouse line that he has?
It depends.
Or is Scotty going back to back most points in the ECHL?
It depends. It really depends on how they schedule this. You know, do they want to give Scotty the award of top point guy, or do they want to chase dubs? Which do they want more? Because that line of Scotty, Carp, and Callaway is fantastic. You know, obviously the forward group is fucking gross. Back end's not bad. It's a game 7 line easy, right? But I also do just want to point out that all of those forwards are staying out of the box. Another forward group doing that. So if you're a forward and, you know, I don't know, trying to get better, stay the fuck out of the box. I don't know. It's crazy, right? But 18-4 is a line. 2 of their losses came last week, not the week that just happened, but the week before then, because they were actually playing against actual fucking teams. How much of that scrub hunting, or whatever you want to call it, plays into effect? Scotty is a top tier player. I don't give a shit whether he's scrub hunting or not. He is going to play, and he's going to play very well. But you do not get those numbers playing against top lines. It's that fucking easy.
They beat us. They beat us twice.
Are you the top line for your team?
Yeah, yeah, man. We have a great record. We've been doing well. They like last week we were up 3-rip on these guys, and they scored a couple fucking real bullshit goals. And they've been close games. They've been really close games. They just keep
Yeah.
getting the better of us. Um,
No, yeah. Again, close games, right? +1, +2, not plus fucking 15.
mhm.
Like that's asinine. That
Yeah.
we're like, you're not putting up that type of stuff. Now you put a whole season of those guys going up against your line. I guarantee you those numbers don't exist.
You don't get to make you just don't get to make those decisions all the time though either, right? Like
No, absolutely not. And I mean,
initially we
there's
weren't supposed to
availability.
play them
There's other
last week, and then their other line had poor availability all of a sudden, and they had to switch over because I saw the lineup and I was like, thank Christ I don't have to play them finally. But then
right.
they ended up having to
Well,
reschedule themselves. So
and I think that this week, the most recent, they had to reschedule themselves. Like their initial line that they had published Sunday actually had to get changed
they
or
did. That's what
something
I
like
mean.
that.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
played them. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, sweet, we don't have to play them this week. Let's fucking get it. And
Right.
then it got changed, and I was like, okay, well, we're back at her, boys. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I personally for me, I think Scotty's going to take the title. I think Scotty's going to
Yeah.
be back to
I
back
agree.
ECHL point champion, which is huge. I love Scotty. I think he's awesome, and I think he deserves it. And he did it last season. He's going to do it again this season.
I'd argue that.
No debates there. Love it. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. All right. All right. All right. All right. CHL guys, CHL, there was a lot going on. Listen, CHL guys is in their final week this week. We have an extra week. They are in their final week coming up. Now their playoffs, I think, are a lot longer than ours, if I'm not mistaken. It'll probably still end around the same time because there's so many fucking teams. Mem Cups. But from a trade perspective on their deadline, I don't know if you guys had a chance or if you looked what you looked at. Big trades. I don't know if there was a lot of big trades in the
Oh, there was a
CHL.
big trade.
Let's hear it.
There was a big trade.
Go.
The Moneyball Magic. The Lethbridge Hurricanes acquired a player over 750K.
Stop.
They are now the proud owners of Glitch 55, worth 4.75 million, which is really restricting their cap space now, as they are down to 14.5 million in cap space. This team is about to clinch a playoff spot. They are there's 9 games left. I think they literally need a point
They got
to
it.
clinch
Let's
a
go.
playoff
Can you believe
spot.
that, guys? This team literally had 750K guys. We talked about them all season long, and they're going to do it.
I love it. I love this.
Team full of taggers.
Bold. That's a bold statement.
It's the same 6 guys on fucking 3 lines. I don't care who you are. You're not going to convince me otherwise. There's no fucking way you get a team full of 750 guys and you're clinching playoffs.
They
No
got it done.
shot.
They got it done. Well, they got in. Now they we talked about the
Congratulations
deadline.
to
They could
them.
do whatever the fuck they wanted, and they went and got
Yeah.
one player. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
You know, it'd be sweet as if they just pulled like a power move and just got like that 10.5 mil dude, and then like another motherfucker
Yeah,
that was
the
like 9.5 or something.
Mhm.
Just go stupid. But in all fairness, those guys ain't shit either. You know, like we'll get to the stats or whatever, but like I mean, there's a clear fucking favorite there.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looked like a lot of the top teams didn't make any crazy moves. I kind of filtered through like, like Elmira, like that Hamilton team's been doing pretty good. Portland Winterhawks, let's see what they did if they did anything. Da, 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 da. Nothing crazy, I don't think, for Prince George. Oklahoma City, couple moves bringing in nothing. Like again, nothing crazy for these guys either. Oklahoma City's a really good team, by the way. I'm trying to find Portland's logo here. See if Chicken got any additional guys. I don't know why I can't find his team right now. But was there any like tons of players being traded at one time? I saw a lot of 3-for-1s and stuff like that. That
Yeah,
happens
just
a lot,
quickly
I think, in the
scrolling
CHL.
through. There was one between the Thunderbirds and the Hurricanes, but I think that was like just a bit of a TC swap taking place.
Okay.
Because that was 2-for-6.
Yeah. Yeah, OKC is 8th, LaRue, but OKC is fucking good, buddy. I would not count that team out. I like that team. They'd definitely be a sleeper for me for sure if they're in 8th spot. That's crazy. There's the Portland team. Let's see. No, they really didn't do a ton. Oh, they brought in Pucky. On the 6th. They made a trade and brought in
Jesus.
Pucky. I love that.
You got to have full roster, 17 players for start of playoffs, yeah?
Yeah, I think CHL has to have that in general, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
In general,
I
so
thought
week
they
to week, you
did.
have to have 17-man roster.
Oh, they might have
Yeah,
changed that for the CHL.
Yeah.
They might have changed it. It used to be the other leagues could be non-roster compliant until playoffs, but the CHL was always we needed to be roster compliant for game night. I don't know if they've changed that or not.
I remember always having to be roster compliant.
Yeah. But yeah, so Elmira didn't make a ton of moves. What about the Saginaw Spirit? Let's go take a look and see if they made anything. Saginaw. Another really good team. There's 3 teams in that LGHL league that are just like, watch out. And that's Portland, Elmira, and Sag. Saginaw didn't make any deadline moves. Can be 2 under until playoffs as long as you have 750K spots. So it's the same. So CHL has adopted that now. So thanks, Billy. Yeah, I'm scrolled through the trades. It kind of looked earlier too, and the one issue is like no different than the NHL. Kind of not super as versed as I used to be in the CHL. Just with the creation of the ECHL, a lot of the guys that I would have known very well were in that league, and the guys getting moved around now.
What happens? I don't know if there's any bogs in the chat. What happens if a team finishes the season eliminated from the playoffs before playoffs even start, and you're not roster compliant?
What do you mean?
Like, let's just say the Oil Kings right now. They're already eliminated. They have 38 points. They're fucking dead.
Yeah.
What if they finish out this season at a 14-man roster?
Doesn't matter then. They
Who
can't be.
cares?
It's 2 players, right? So it has to be 15. They need to have at least 15, but yeah, they don't have to be roster compliant at the end of the season.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
They're just out. You just have to be
Right,
roster
but I'm saying,
compliant
like,
leading
what's
into
to
the
stop
playoffs.
them from going down to 6 fucking people?
It's only 2 players, they said.
Yeah.
You can only be 2 under the roster, so 15. That would be fucking crazy. You just can't do that. Can you imagine? Just keep getting rid of
Well,
players.
that's where I'm getting at. Like, there's 3 teams right now. They got 15 guys in their roster. You know?
15. Yeah, so you can be at 15.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I get that.
You can't
but
be
like,
at 14.
if you're all right, but I'm saying, like, if you're not at 17,
right,
you're giving away essentially 2 players to a playoff team.
potentially.
Right?
Sure.
So you can swing that.
There's also like no need if like maybe the NCAA team that those guys that you would call up are really good.
Right.
And they're having fun with their NCAA team. Like you just don't call those guys up, right? Like
Right.
It's no different than for me. Like if I wasn't in playoffs and I wasn't roster compliant, I'm not racing to pull guys up because those guys are probably on decent teams. They're the ones that I would want to pull up. Just ECU, finish the season out and move on to the next one, right? Um, yeah, so like those guys wouldn't even be able to call up players, right? So like that Brandon
Right.
Weeking's team at 15, they can't call up anybody because waiver wire is done. It'd be conditional, and the conditions just wouldn't be there to be roster compliant because they don't need to be. Right. Yeah, I see a lot of TC moves in the CHL. I did see Gazelle got traded. Slow Gazelle got it traded to the Owen Sound Attack.
How the fuck is he in the CHL?
I don't know. He's playing center. I know that. Like he's not playing goalie, right? So he's playing center.
Fine.
He was on my list. I ended up getting guys that we wanted through bidding. I think he's actually a pretty solid forward too.
I did see Egan get waived. A 6 mil center got waived to the C.
Wait, see, move to the NCAA
Or to the E. Or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. He's been not having a season. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Not having a season there. All right, let's move on. Like again, I'm just not seeing any like crazy trades. If there's one that you guys think's crazy enough, just put it in the chat. Yeah, there wasn't a ton of notable trades, I don't think. All right, so CHL, move over to the standings. Is there something that you were going to talk about in the standings? One of you guys were talking about it earlier. You said we'd move to the standings eventually. No?
No, I said the stats. Player stats.
Okay, we'll get to that shortly then. Let's go. Who's your favorite for President's Trophy? So,
Isn't this one you?
no, this will be you. I stayed middle. I stayed with the second pick overall.
Oh.
So right now you have the Jackals with 99, Winter Hawks with 96, Spirit 91, Raiders 92. The OHL is a fucking shit show. Highest point 79. And then you got the Wildcats with 93, the Titan 93, the Ramparts 93, and the Voyagers with 91. Wow. The Q, there is a big gap between your top teams and your bottom teams in the Q. That's what that tells me. The OHL is very well balanced because I just said it's a shit show. Everyone's pretty tight. There's no big points in there. 79 is your leader. Number one pick will be actually you, RTC, for your favorite for President's Trophy of the CHL.
Portland Winterhawks.
Portland Winterhawks are off the board. All right. Good pick. I am actually going to take the Elmira Jackals. They have 99 points. They continuously have an amazing weeks. And they got 3 points on the Winterhawks. And again, 3 points isn't a lot, but it's not easy to make up against top teams. So I would go.
Especially in the last week.
Yeah, they're in their last week too, right? Like shit.
Right.
And with the third pick, Mr. Scarata.
Give me the Moncton Wildcats.
The Moncton Wildcats. Buddy, this queue is actually really sick. I cannot wait to see what happens in these playoffs.
Yeah.
I hope somebody from the OHL pulls it off.
They're not. They can't. Mathematically, I don't even think they can. How many points can you get a week? 9 games. What's that? 18?
18.
No. I'm not talking about presidents. I just mean, Mem Cup.
Oh.
OHL.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
They very well
I know
could.
we weren't talking
You can't
about
really
that.
tell who, like,
right,
because it's balanced. You don't really get that clear, like, who's the fucking top dog there, right? Whereas, like, the Q, your Drummondville, your Moncton, your Acadie Bathurst, like, those are your top teams. And the bottom teams are really the bottom teams in that league. So, cool.
All
right. CHL. Final week before the playoffs. Hopefully you get some good playoff coverage. Game calling. I'm thinking we should be able to get some stuff done here with Mezcast, who's been doing an amazing job.
that guy's a beast.
All right. Anything else CHL, guys?
You want to do stats?
Oh yeah, stats. Good call. Thanks, buddy. That's why we have you here. All right. Well, your point leader. I know you've talked about him a few times, RTC. J or J 238. 90 points. His line
That's
mate,
fucked.
Flydwin, 83 points. Next up, Roundsy, 82 points. Schmitty, 77. And Swavin, 76. So, really, the only person that could catch him is his own line mate, and he's probably getting points every time his line mate gets points. I guess Roundsy could catch him. Roundsy's 8 points
How
back.
are you averaging almost 5 points a game? Almost. We'll go a little bit more reserved and say 4 points a game.
Yeah, competition. Oh,
And
right.
you're still shooting 500.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Defense is overrated. You're right.
dude,
It's fucking crazy.
especially for them to be line mates.
Week
How
1,
are
2,
you
and
shooting
3,
500?
he went 19 points, 16 points, 15 points. Started off the season heavy. Dropped off a little bit, 7 points, 8 points, 13 points, 12 points.
That is fucked.
So you have 90 points and he's plus 14.
Yeah. He also has 48 fucking penalty minutes.
Well, he's a goon.
Well, he also scores a shit ton. So
Maybe
whatever.
he needs a break. I don't know.
I don't get how you have 90 points. I don't care if you play any defense. I don't.
And your record's
How do you have
11-7-3.
90 points? Yeah, like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I agree with you. I agree with you there. But are we all in agreement that nobody's going to catch him for points?
I really hope so. I really do.
You really
He's
hope
been
somebody
on top.
catches them?
No. I think like JE or whatever, he's gonna hold it down till the end. He's literally been there all season.
I agree. And like I said, Flydwin is his next closest, and that's his line mate. He's going to get points on Flydwin's goals and points anyways, right? So
Right. So then we go back to the draft picks, right? You're an NHL owner. Do you draft this guy first overall?
I personally don't. But I draft Flydwin. Because Flydwin had a very, very good season last season from a points perspective as well, which tells me that he can play offensively. And if you put him with the right guys, he's probably going to have success. He's had back-to-back very good CHL seasons. Flydwin does. That would be my first pick. Last season, he had 95 points with a 16-6-2 record. Flydwin did. And he'll probably end up somewhere around 90, 95, somewhere between 90 and 95 points again this season.
He has more losses this season already.
Dylan
Not
Holloway
already. There's one more week.
Roundsy's going first overall. Roundsy. There you go.
16, 3-2, 82. So why doesn't, unless I'm missing something, the CHL doesn't do an extra game?
No, we do 82 game seasons and the CHL doesn't.
Okay.
I think that was only recently too.
Yeah, that's
It used to be that the AHL and NHL used to start before the CHL. They start a week earlier, actually. I remember that for a couple seasons. But...
I just want to give a quick shout out to Square, goalie on Erie Otters. Facing the most shots in the league at 765 shots. It's a lot of shots. And put up 6 shutouts. He has 18 losses and 21 wins.
It's a lot of shots.
Not great. Not great.
863 is good. 863 is not it's a really good number for a goalie.
For facing them, yeah. Like, I'm not saying that he's not great. I'm saying, like, hello, is anybody in front of him going to help this guy out?
Yeah.
Like, what the like, dude, you got 6 shutouts. You have almost you have almost a fourth of your wins in shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty wild.
LaRue says, look at Ice Dog MVP. Okay, so Ice Dog, much better record, faced less shots, and I believe his save percentage is less than Square. Yeah, Square has a better save percentage. Definitely more wins though for
Ice Dog MVP right here.
And then his goals against average is better, 1.56.
27 and 6.
Goals against
Doesn't he
average,
also
I think,
on the
is
best team?
super important. Yeah, he's on one of the best teams. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Like, it makes a big difference.
1.56. Wow, yeah.
If you're allowing less than 2 goals a game, you're gonna win a lot of games. So,
And you also are facing half the amount of shots as the other guy I just mentioned.
yeah, for sure. Hey, perks of being on good teams, right?
Right, no, absolutely. And good goaltending. You need good goalies. You need good goalies.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I'm gonna bring up and the last thing I'm gonna say, and I just, it's been a long show, but we've been off for 2 weeks, so there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We're in our last 2 weeks in the NHL, AHL, ECHL. CHL, you guys are in your last week. If you're a bottom team, you're not having fun, you're not enjoying it, tough it out. We can't just keep gifting points and making other teams work for points. Stay away from the forfeits. Tough it out for the last couple weeks here. Find a way to get it done. CHL guys, if there's an ACHL team looking for TCs because their roster guys are just not showing up for them, just go play. Use it as an opportunity to try out for a team. Maybe, there's a lot of guys that complain that they should be in better leagues or better teams. And same with ECHL guys for AHL, AHL, NHL. Go play. Just go play your games. Stop forfeiting games because you know what? We got lucky. We got 2 wins this week because of forfeits. But if that team decides to play the next day and they get a win against another team that's fighting for a spot, it's just not fair. It's just not fair for everyone, right? Like, it's tough. So I would hate to see a team either lose out or get in because of a forfeit. So let's find a way to make sure that we fill our lineups, show up to games, and take the beating if you got to. But the forfeits they're just so bad for this league, right? So let's make sure that we take care of that. And that's the last thing I had, guys. Any closing comments for either one of you?
Got nothing.
Good luck, everybody.
Here we go. Last 2 weeks.
There's always next season. And I mean, you live and you learn. Good teams, good luck. Bad teams, I hope you learn some stuff and you come back next season. Don't let one bad season ruin your time. This community is too small to lose good people. There has to be a loser. Just because you lose one season doesn't mean that that's going to be you forever. So come back, take it on the chin, and get ready to play. Everybody else that's going to be in it to win it, good luck. We'll see you out there.
I just want to throw it out there before we leave and shut this down. Next season, RTC's written off the Calgary Flames management, by the way. So that does not apply to the Calgary Flames managers.
You guys suck.
All right, that's it. Later.